Greetings, everyone. Welcome to introducing the Podclass. It's your girl, SmartVideoGirl here. Tuned in for another wonderful episode of introducing the Podclass. Okay. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful day. I have been having a wonderful day. My lighting is a little off. It looks a little yellow. Anyway, we're going to roll with it. Thank you so much for being here. We have a great show today. As you can see, the title for today's episode is Protect Your Peace. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to protect our peace. So we have been building on this self-mastery concept, and this is the second half of the season. Hey, what's up? Okay, hold on a second, I got you. All right, that's my son there. All right, so we are working on self-mastery, and this is the second half of the season. So in the first half of this season, we have been working on developing our awareness of self. And in the second part of the season, we really were going to delve into the mastery part, right? The mastery part. So as you can see, when this season started, this second half of the season, this is when the growth really starts. This is when you put the pedal to the metal, or whatever they say. This is when you start to put the actions behind the awareness, okay? This is when you start to acknowledge what it is that you know about yourself, okay? So you've been aware of it. Now you are going to acknowledge what you are aware of yourself in the mastery of who you are becoming. We're going to take a deep breath on that. All right. So I want to sincerely thank you all for being here. Before I go any further and before we get all the way into this episode, I do want to just talk a little bit about an experience that I recently had that I'm embarking on, that I'm really, truly excited about. And it really says a lot about my own personal journey. So, and I'll just start with this. So growth season, we started episode 13 with the growth season. And then we went into episode 14, which we talked about from moving from survival to success. And that's where we talked about learning how we regulate ourselves, right? How we regulate our energy, okay, in this growth. So now that we become aware, we learn how to regulate ourselves. We learned about the brain waves that happen when we are in survival mode versus success mode. And then we moved into episode 15, which you guys saw last week, which says who said the leader had to be healed. And that was a very, very personal show for me as your host guide, and as someone who is also on a healing journey of their own. Okay. Excuse me. We went through that episode in acknowledging and understanding that the leadership, self-leadership is part of the growth process. Like in your growth process, learning to lead yourself while potentially leading others in community and environment is all part of the process. And so while you're healing, you can still lead, because who said that you had to be complete in order to be able to help someone else? So we explored unhealed triggers, what that looks like, how you heal, how you notice yourself in beta, and how you can regulate yourself, okay? And then, so now this episode is called Protect Your Peace. And right after that show last week, I I went on a retreat, which I needed, clearly. If you go back and watch the episode, I went on a retreat for myself, for a journey, a personal thing that I am embarking on. And it was so interesting that I was able to work on this particular topic, which is maintaining my peace. Not even finding my peace, maintaining and protecting my peace. Because in the awareness and learning self, you learn what brings, where your peace is and how you maintain your peace and all that other good stuff. And, how to bring yourself down from beta to the alpha to the delta waves in yourself, right? How you get to a peaceful mind set, how you bring all of that back. So now we're going to learn how to protect this peace. And this is a very, 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 very sensitive subject. So I'm very excited about it. Let's get into it because I don't want to waste or belabor this any longer. All right. So protect your peace. All right. Oh, yes. Did I put it on here? Yeah. So this is our intention for tonight. You guys know what we always do. We always set an intention before we move into this process, because what we want to do is to be able to be mindful as we're going through the steps and not get lost in the work, because the work is you and you are doing the work. And sometimes in doing the work, when it gets hard, we forget what our intention is. So tonight, our intention is to protect my peace without closing my heart, honor my boundaries without guilt, use discernment before giving access, and take responsibility for my own energy. All right. That is our intention for tonight's episode of Introducing Podclass, where we are talking about protecting our peace. So the question, and I'm going to do this question, and then we're going to do our musical therapy moment before we get into the lesson, because we got some really good stuff coming up. So what currently has access to you that has not earned it? What is causing you to be in survival mode? What in your life has access to your mind, your body, okay, your emotional state that has not earned its place? Let's think about that. And we're going to do this musical therapy. And then when we come back, we are going to be talking about protecting our peace, because peace is something that you have to participate in to create, okay? You have to participate in creating your peace. All right, this is a little musical therapy. I am SmartVideoGirl, your host guide, all right? And if you don't already, follow me. It's a little shiny, but follow me everywhere on these social medias: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Substack, and what's that? TikTok. Follow me, all right, at SmartVideoGirl, all right? And we are going to do some musical therapy, and then we're going to come back and continue to dive into how we protect our peace. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Loyalty is timeless. It's always at its finest. But you know that. Look, I just need time to clear my mind. For real. Look, I try and focus on the highs. This nigga's barely getting by. For real. Look, this shit's a slippery slope and no niggas rarely get to slide. Now I mean that. Look, give me some time to clear my mind. Let me talk to them. They gotta pay attention to this. Look, be real with yourself. Look, you gotta play your own hand, my nigga. Learn how to deal with yourself. For real. Look, I took the throne a long time ago. They like that nigga still in the chair. That nigga feeling himself, perfectly architected. He try not to miss any steps. Know that we all protected. Don't make me call for the weapons. I know I've been lifting weights, but holding this coffin's heavy. Though I'm in a different place, my mind feeling Armageddon, but that should stay armed and ready. Don't fuck with the karma Reggie. I will circle round right back to you before karma get ya. Even when the grill was low on food, I watched mama stretch it, cause mama special. You're overconfident but underwhelming, but it ain't no training wheels to life. This shit don't come with helmets. Better hold on, bet on my own self. Don't take the wrong steps. Let me do me and everything gon' be fine, but I just need time to clear my mind. For real.
Yes, sir.
Look, I try and focus on the highs. These niggas barely getting by. They ain't listening to me. For real, this shit's a slippery slope and no niggas rarely get to slide. I mean it, for real. Look, give me some time to clear my mind. Talk to him, D. Let him know what's up.
Yo, look, it's me in the flesh. You meeting the king. At war with myself, I'm beating the ring. It's easy to swing, hard to say sorry, these are the things we don't wanna confess. Think it's best for our self-esteem, help us please get back to ourselves. My back on the wall like, you really don't know how I felt to grieve about my uncle. Looking at daddy and pawpaw sing, just added an extra wing. Imagining everything, let me breathe. The lessons that life taught, ever since Terrence City, way back with the white chalk. I can surprise y'all, you can't predict the rap. Gotta get back to tapping in, I was living trash, but I emptied the dumpster and kept it in the past. Try not to think about it so it won't get me mad. This is that smoke music, so if I roll to it, I'm in my prime. It keep me aligned and give me the signs. I just need time to clear my mind.
Real. Talk to him, D. Look,
yes, sir.
I try and focus on the highs. This nigga's barely getting by, and I mean that with all my soul. Look, this shit's a slippery slope and no niggas rarely get to slide. Real. Look, give me some time to clear my mind. Above all, remember, be real with yourself. You got to do that. Loyalty is timeless at its finest.
What it do? I am your host, God, SmartVideoGirl, and you are back with introducing the Podclass. And you were just listening to Be Real with Yourself, right? Loyalty is timeless. So, in that, we are talking about protecting your peace, and that is key in being real with yourself. If you want to master yourself, if you want to have self-mastery, you have to learn how to protect your peace. And it is more than, and it is deeper than what you may think. Okay, so we're going to get deep into that and find out what exactly protecting your peace means. Okay, so what is peace? We'll start with that. What is peace? And just for clarification, peace is, yes, for clarification, let's do that, because I don't think I have a slide for peace. So peace does not mean that nothing is wrong, okay? Peace doesn't mean that everything is kumbaya. Peace doesn't mean that everything is right. Peace doesn't mean that that everything is perfect. And peace doesn't mean that everybody agrees with you. And peace doesn't mean that you don't have other feelings associated with discomfort. So this is a good example for us to look at. Peace versus comfort. So I'm not talking about comfort. We're talking about peace. And peace comes within the storm. Peace comes amongst the storm. Okay? So peace versus comfort. Comfort is, I don't want anything to happen, right? That makes you comfortable. We know that comfort is not what we desire. Okay? We want peace. Peace is to be able to experience discomfort without losing yourself. Peace is being able to stand in the midst of the storm and still stand your ground and not be shaken. That is peace. This is what we're talking about. Protecting your peace. Not allowing yourself to get into this high beta frequency mindset where you are in constant mode, because that in survival mode, because this is the difference, right? If you're comfortable, right, that means you're probably not in survival mode per se. You want to try to keep everything comfortable so you don't feel like you have to be in survival mode. But peace is saying, oh, schnizzle. Everything is, but you know what? I am at peace. I have peace in me to be still, to know. I have peace within myself to not allow the brain frequencies to be in high beta frequency. I'm not freaking out thinking that something is wrong. I am at peace. So understand that distinction, because it is very important in order for us to be able to move forward and know what we're really talking about. So growth can disrupt your comfort without disrupting your peace. So that's part of the process. You have to grow. Growth is going to disrupt your comfort. I'm going to say that. Growth is going to disrupt your comfort, but it does not have to disrupt your peace. Okay? You should actually grow in your peace. All right. All right. So let's see where we are. All right. So what we want to do is we want to make sure too that we're not avoiding, because that is part of the comfort, right? So peace, elements of peace are clarity that is present, because you have to be able to be present to how you are feeling in that moment. Okay. You're right. You will never have peace outside of God, knowing that God dwells in you. That is absolutely true. So when you realize that God dwells within you, then you find peace within yourself. And that is an ultimate truth. So I thank you for sharing that, because you'll never find peace outside of God, and you must understand that God lives inside of you. So when you understand that God lives inside of you, then you understand that peace lives inside of you. And we can breathe, and we can be grateful for that. Okay? So you can be present to that. You can be clear on the fact that you don't have to go outside of yourself to find that peace that lives within you. All right? You get to accept all of this stuff. So peace isn't the absence of challenges. It's the absence of unnecessary internal warfare. It's the internal struggle that you go through. Oh, sis, she said peace is acknowledgement of you and having faith to know that all you need, that's all you need, and it's okay. How fitting acknowledgement. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so peace versus avoidance. Let's look at peace versus avoidance. Okay, so peace is going to address, right? Whereas avoidance ignores. And a perfect example of this, I'm speaking. The choir is talking right now, okay? I am the choir. I'm speaking to myself. Peace allows you to address things, to acknowledge what is happening in yourself and not to ignore it, right? Because when you ignore it, things don't go away when you ignore them, okay? They don't go away, all right? So peace communicates, okay? Again, peace sets boundaries. Avoidance builds walls. Peace accepts discomfort Whereas avoidance runs from discomfort. It wants to do everything but be uncomfortable. Peace discerns, where avoidant assumes. You assume you know what is happening. You assume, and that is an avoidant technique to avoid dealing with what is really happening. Instead of dealing with what is really happening, you assume, and that is to help you, quote unquote, stay comfortable, which really doesn't, because it really causes your mind to go into a whirlwind, because you're avoiding the situation instead of addressing and communicate, which brings peace. Follow me now. Follow me now. Peace responds, whereas avoidance withdraws. And this is, again, I'm speaking from experience in some of these things. When we want to run away from life, we want to just make it like it was, right? Make it like it was. I got musical Tourette's. We just want to make it like it was. You want to do something that was comfortable. You want to avoid a situation. We will do things that help us stay in that space, right? So avoiding will withdraw instead of engaging, instead of being present, right? We will withdraw. We will avoid it. And in the avoidance of it, we will constantly be thinking about what could possibly be happening, assuming. This creates the brain waves in our mind, okay, follow the classes, the high beta waves. We're thinking about worst case scenarios instead of knowing, instead of addressing and communicating, being willing to be uncomfortable, but to know we are willing to put ourselves in a state of panic instead of a state of peace. Understand that. Okay. Peace also protects versus avoidance, which hides. Okay. So protect your peace. Don't hide inside of it. You can't hide from it. Peace is not hiding. That's running scared. That is not hiding. So we don't want to do that. That is not what we want to do. All right. So make sure you have these and look and see where you may be. What are you at peace? Really? Are you really at peace? Or you just have you just created the facade? Have you told yourself that you have created peace or found peace, but you have yet to address and you are really avoiding things? Because that is very important to distinguish in your growth process. This is how you tell the difference in whether you're actually growing or staying stagnant in the things that you have become aware of in yourself. Okay. All right. So there are 4 areas of peace, and we want to, again, there's nothing simple about anything that we talk about. It's always layers to it. Okay. It's always layers. It's always more to the story that you have to pay attention to, but it is very simple. And if we think about it, it is a holistic way of looking at it so that we don't trap ourselves into trying to meet one particular aspect and understanding that the totality of what peace encompasses for us. Okay. So there are 4 areas of peace. Okay. And so it becomes, again, the holistic, it becomes the ecosystem of your being. So you're going to have mental peace. And we talked about that and when we were talking about survival to success. So in survival to success, again, we were talking about the brain waves that are created when you are in a high stress mode, a survival mode, versus when you are in a sleep mode or a meditative mode. So finding mental peace, okay, this is important. What are you repeatedly thinking about and consuming? What are you feeding your mind? Meaning, what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to, if anything? So is your brain, they used to say this is your brain on drugs, right? But in this, we're talking about mental peace. So what are you consuming? Are you consuming chaos? Are you listening to stories of calamity and chaos and confusion and just chatter, busy noise, white noise? Or are you engaging? Is your mind set on things of gratitude or success or the truth of your being? or are you listening to things that elevate your brain, your mind, and help put it at ease? If you are someone who is stressed, do you listen to meditative music to relax yourself? Or are you listening to a whole lot of hippity hoppity, as they say, high energy music that has words or an energy that gets you hype and takes you and puts you in different mental places? Be mindful of that, okay? The next one is emotional peace. So emotional peace, what emotions actually belong to you? What is actually yours? What emotions are yours? What are you absorbing from others, right? What is not yours to carry? Because sometimes you can be carrying what other people are feeling. It's not for you. Those are, and so you have to learn to discern what feelings are yours. And as empaths, if you are an empathic person, you feel easily other people. So this is very important for my empaths out there who are emotional, who can sense how other people are feeling. You can sense how other people are feeling without owning their feelings. Therefore, you don't have to stress out about how somebody else is feeling. Okay, and that's also important when you talk about how other people feel about you, right? So that is something that you can't do. You can't control how other people feel. You can't control people's moods. You can't take responsibility for how people feel. Now, this is very important. As a caveat note, this goes along with the conversation that we had last week when I was talking about who said the leader had to be healed. And one of the aspects of that is, the strong one. And even as the strong one, if you have someone in your life who is the strong one, and then they quote unquote feel like the strong one, or they have their feelings, you as someone who may lean on them don't have to be responsible for how they feel. This is self-work. You can be aware. You can notice how maybe the interaction is, and gets into the next piece, which is relational piece, right? You can talk about the relation between the two, but if the relationship is at peace, right, then you don't have to own other people's emotions, okay? And that can go both ways, good or bad. You can't make somebody feel good. You can't make somebody feel bad. That's the truth of the matter. If somebody feels good or bad based on something that you do, that you can only control yourself. And however you see that, sometimes the only realizing and understanding that truth can free you as a person trying to control situations. You can only control yourself. You cannot control the outcome of how people feel about anything. You can control yourself, though. You can be present to how you show up. All right. Relational peace. Okay. Who has access to your time? Who are you giving your time to? Do you spend time with people who drain you? Okay. Are you spending time doing things that don't bring you, that don't excite you, that don't give you peace, that stress you out? How are you spending your time? What are you giving your attention to? Are you constantly available simply because somebody expects you to be? Right? Don't do that. Especially if it's going to be to your detriment. We're going to learn how to say no. And we've talked about this several times. Several times. That's it. All right. And then the last area of peace is environmental peace. What do your routine routines, media, spaces, and habits produce in you. It's like, where are you? What are you? What is your physical space made out of? All right. So are you someone who has clutter everywhere? And that clutter can be an external representation of the chaos that is happening internally. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but as within, so without. And guess what? That's just the law. So think about your space. If you are someone who is a minimalist, then you may not have a lot of chaos and stuff going on the inside. If you have a lot of stuff going on the outside, you may have a lot of stuff going on the inside. Just be aware of it. Just examine it, and just make sure that you are okay with it. That's what's important here. So peace is an ecosystem that you have to create in your mind, okay, in your heart, all right, in your personal environment, in your greater environment, all right. So that's one aspect of peace. So now let's look at this access. This is what I'm excited about this one, because I think we have access levels. So who has access to you? That was the question. That was the first question that I asked it says who currently has access, who or what has access to you that has not earned it. Okay. So we want to talk about access levels on this today. There are different access levels, and you get to determine who has access and at what level. Okay. This is very, 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 very important, because a lot of us operate as open books. We operate as open vessels where any and everybody has access to us. Okay. And this is not everybody. Okay. Some people don't have this problem at all. Some people are quite the opposite. Nobody has access. Absolutely nobody and nothing. Not even God. Nobody has access. So we're going to find a nice balance in this access level. We're going to understand the access level so we can discern who and what gets access at what levels. So we have the public level, okay? And the public level is, they know what you choose to share publicly, right? So this is what most people, social media, thanks to social media, this is everybody, especially if you make your profiles open for everybody to see, this is what it is. And guess what? It says they get to see what you choose to share openly. What you choose to share, you get to choose. Even though it's public, it's only based on what you decide to openly share with everyone. Okay. Okay. And so then there's socially, and then socially is more in the closer environments. That may be your coworkers, schoolmates, classmates, acquaintances, business people. These are people that you engage with, maybe even clients. If you're an entrepreneur, they have they know you a little more because they get to interact with you a little more one-on-one, or you guys are in the same circle. Okay, so there's a closer connection. They have more access to you because they may even have access to your physical being. Okay, all right, and then there's personal, and this is your friends, your family. These are more meaningful relationships. These are people that you are choosing to call friends. Okay, these are people, because I would say this even for him. This is people that you are choosing to open up to more, to be a little more vulnerable with, okay? But you get to decide how much access these people get, all right? So openly, everybody knows that I'm a host guide, okay? Personally, some people know that there's levels to what that looks like. And then there's the intimate. There's a trusted access to vulnerability. This is where I can this is where I can really be safe. This is where safe spaces are created. This is where, and when we say intimacy, we're not talking about physical intimacy. We're talking about into me. I see you get access into me. You get to access into who I am at a deeper level. That is the intimate, okay? And that can be, again, this is people who know you personally, and you decide to give them more access to who you are. They get to know just that much more about you. And then there's the sacred space, the sacred access. Woo! And that sacred access is where, if anything, I would say, most importantly, that's where you and God are. Okay? But then in the human world, on the human level, but this is the spiritual. This is where people get to know. This is like giving people insight to the window of your relationship with God. They get to know you on a level. They get to see the sacredness. They get to experience along with you the truth of your being. Like that type of sacredness. Did I say that right? That's what that is. That's a whole different type of sacred. It's beyond just intimate. It is now bringing in, almost like a supernatural experience, like sacred connection, meaning that it's beyond intimate. It's spiritual. We are connected in a way that is beyond just physical. Even though intimate, when I say intimate, I mean beyond physical as well. But this is more of a spiritual connection and that sacred access. And so this is really where, people may get to know your deepest, your vision. That vision that God gave you, you get to share that in sacred relationship. People who have that type of level, they get to see that. Okay. So, and so access to match responsibility. And I will say this, you can't give everybody access to you. You just can't be willy-nilly sharing your hopes and dreams with everybody. That's what they say. If you hear this, like, don't tell your hope, don't tell your dreams to everybody. Don't go around telling everybody your dreams, because that is God-given. That's sacred. The fact that I cry at night when I see something, that may be intimate. But my vision that God gave me, that's sacred. Understand that difference. Intimate might be how what type of drawers I wear, right? That's intimate. But sacred, that's different. Okay, so that is what we need to understand, and there's a responsibility that comes along with that in relationship. Like I said, you don't get to be responsible how other people feel about you, right? But you get to be responsible about how you show up in relationship. So if you have two people in relationship and one person is haphazard, if they are haphazard with you, or haphazard with themselves and how they show up, they don't care how they show up to the relationship, then you don't get to have access to me, because you don't even show up to the relationship in a way that shows me that I could even trust you with what color drawers I got on. What is we talking about? All right. So this is, you should not just be an open book. You should be very discerning with your access levels, because everybody doesn't get the same access. Okay. All right. So have you given anybody, the wrong access? They had a season pass when they shouldn't have even had a day pass. Protect your peace. Okay. That's all I got to say. All right. So, in doing this, y'all know I love to talk about boundaries, because what boundaries really are in this is how people elevate, how people go from the different levels of access, right? So in the sense, so what a boundary actually is and what it is not, and this is something that people need to be very clear on, because again, the boundary is how I govern myself. Again, we are talking about self-work. We are not talking about you want to talk about how boo-boo did whatever, and how it made you feel. And so you going to take back your peace, because no, this governs how you participate in a relationship. This is how you show up. And it does look at what happens, but it only governs how you decide to move forward, because that's all we can control is ourselves. So a boundary does not say you have to stop doing that. You don't have to stop doing anything. If you continue to do that, then this is what I'm going to do. You don't got to do nothing. Because if I say you have to stop doing that, that means that I can only have peace. I can only be okay if you stop doing what you do. And guess what? You may decide that you don't want to do that. But a boundary says, listen, I'm communicating with you, so you don't have to assume. We have I'm communicating. And if this continues, then this is what I will have to do. The other person, depending on how they feel about you in the relationship and what they think about and how they decide and how they want to show up, they now get to decide what they want to do. And then you get to decide what you want to do. Guess what? I love it. Everybody gets to decide what they want to do. Those are boundaries. People can't yell. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to continue this conversation. I can't do that right now. Oof. Being able to say no. No is a boundary. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. So this is what boundaries actually are. And I know we've talked about this briefly, but these boundaries are one of the biggest tools you can use in protecting your peace. Because boundaries, again, allow you to choose. You get to choose. You get to have a say in what happens in your world, squirrel. All right. And let's see. What I want to say. Right. So this is one of the biggest things about boundaries. Another big thing about protecting your peace. Another big thing that I want to share about protecting your peace is the fact that you don't always have to explain yourself. And let me say that I have been someone who always felt like they had to explain themselves. And one of the biggest lessons that I did learn is dealing with someone that is a narcissist. One of the biggest lessons that I learned with dealing with a narcissist is that you don't have to give them any energy. That is it is one of the straightforward tactics of dealing with a quote unquote narcissist, but it is an effective tactic, period, with keeping your peace. You do not have to be right. You do not have to prove yourself. You don't have to over explain yourself. Nobody needs to understand what you need to do for yourself. Okay? Because a lot of times, if you have to quote unquote over explain yourself, that means you are trying to get somebody to understand how you feel. And guess what? It's not your job to get anyone to understand how you feel. They are your feelings. They don't have to be explained to anyone else. No one has to understand why you feel the way that you feel. And again, in the right relationships, people who have the correct access, they will know and they will understand. Because they will understand who you are, and they will want to understand. And they will want to get to know deeper who this person is authentically. that is getting to know someone at their sacred beingness. That is beautiful. So you're not going to over explain yourself. I'm not going to explain myself. There's a song that says, I don't have to. I don't have to. I don't have to. I don't have to explain myself. When I say no, I don't have to say no because I don't have to do that. It doesn't require a thesis statement. It doesn't require, I know I do, no, I do not because, no, I will not, no. And if you would like questions can be asked and you can say, I don't feel the need. I changed my mind. I don't feel the need to continue. I no longer feel, what? I don't have to explain myself. I said what I said. Okay. And the reason why we usually over explain is because we don't want to hurt people, right? But it doesn't always make us feel good. And a lot of times we don't do something because we don't want to. So we're not going to do that. Because again, we're protecting our peace, not other people's peace. No, that's your peace. You protect your own peace. Yeah, it's for you. Yeah. You can communicate respectfully without convincing everybody that that this is what you have to do. I don't have to explain to you this is what I have to do for me. And listen, if you need to take a walk, I need to take a walk. Why? What's wrong with you? I gotta take a walk. Don't ask me no questions. I need a minute to myself. What Well, we're in the middle. I need a minute. Period. That's the end of the sentence. It's a statement. And that's what it is. And that's what you get to decide. You get to choose because it is your life and that is the beauty of it. Okay, so protecting your peace also means that is take responsibility for yourself. You are becoming a leader of yourself. Because when you take responsibility for your peace, then there's nothing anyone can do to rattle you. They can call you at your name. They can try to shake your world. But if you can maintain your peace, and it's your responsibility. If you can maintain your peace, then you become unstoppable. It says and this one is a big one because in the book, right? Do the work, keep the faith. I don't know if you have it. You should have it. So everywhere books are sold, Amazon. But we talk about the stages of a consciousness, and one of the stages of consciousness is to me, right? And this is where everything is happening to you. And if things are constantly happening to you, how can you possibly be at peace with yourself, right? Because, oh my gosh, everything and everybody and everyone is coming at you, and everybody's trying to disrupt your peace and drive you crazy. And I know that because I say that sometimes to myself. Y'all driving me crazy. No, you won't drive me crazy. That's what I started saying. I said, what you won't do is drive me crazy. You're not going to drive me crazy. Y'all run around here with all these shenanigans. Those are your shenanigans, not mine. I don't own things that don't belong to me. They're not mine. So therefore, it can't be to me. By me, can decide to protect my peace. This is where by me is a very useful state of consciousness. Because I'm going to protect my peace. Mm-hmm. You're going to regulate yourself. You're going to be able to bring yourself. You're going to be able to control how you are thinking, your thoughts. Okay. You're going to rest. You're going to communicate. You're going to apologize. You're going to apologize when necessary, if necessary. And it's not necessarily I'm sorry. We're not sorry, but we are apologizing when necessary. We're doing to change the story that we're telling ourselves about what is happening to, quote unquote, to us. And it is your responsibility to do that. You can look at a situation. Something can happen in your life. You can look at your situation, and depending on how you tell that story, you can quote unquote protect your peace. This is not avoiding. This is not lying. This is not being delusional. This is not cognitive dissonance. But you can change the story. All right. All right. All right. Peace isn't only about what you're removing. It is about what you are managing within yourself. So that is clear. So it is very important. Emotional responsibility. We talked about that being a place of peace, but the emotional responsibility that you have to protect your own peace is the work that you have to do in understanding how you are thinking, how you are feeling, and being able to alchemize that energy to be able to rewrite the narrative. Okay? To be able to shift in consciousness from a to me to a by me consciousness, that I will protect my peace. I will not allow myself to be triggered. I will regulate when those thoughts come into my mind and bring those beta wavelengths down to alpha wavelengths. You have control over that. This is something that you can be mindful of. You know, you want to talk about control. This is what you have. This is what you have the choice to do. So you don't have to feel like everything is happening to you. And we talked about that. That is just not what this is. All right. So there is some questions you can ask yourself when we are. Did I put this on here? I don't think I did. All right. There are some things that you can put on. Yeah. There's some questions that you can ask yourself when you are working with peace to figure out if this is something that is truly yours. So the first one is it true? Is it true? The first question is it true? Or am I assuming that it is happening? Okay. There's a Course in Miracles. Shout out to the Intervisions program. Our lesson I'm taking a class for our lesson for this month is I'm afraid I see something that is not there, right? And it scares me. That's what it says. And if that is not what we have been talking about in the self-mastery, really talking about how our minds work, are we actually seeing what is really happening? Are we present to what is happening? Or are we remembering a false story instead of the truth of our being that is eternal? So the first question you can ask yourself, is this true? Before you give your energy to anything that is happening in your life, is this true? Or am I responding to an assumption? Is this an assumption? And if you don't know, that means you need to ask a question. Get clarity. Ask a question. My friends know. If you want to know, ask a question. How many times have I said that? If you want to know, ask the question. Is it mine? Or is this somebody else's? Is that your baggage or my bag? Is that your bag or my bag? I'm not carrying your bags. That's your bag. I don't carry your bag. Does that actually belong to me or is it yours? Is it necessary? This is something, so this is very important. Is it necessary? Is this something that I need to deal with right now? No, it's not that serious. And again, not in avoidance, but in wisdom. Because we don't have to be right. Right? Think about that. Is it necessary? Is this going to affect some type of change that is going to be meaningful? Or is this just to make me, quote unquote, feel better? Quote, comfortable. Is it going to make me comfortable, but not necessarily give me peace? Because it's going to be an argument or a fight to get that. to get that peace, to get that confirmation, to be comfortable that I'm doing the right thing. It's going to disrupt my peace. Is that necessary just to be right? Ask yourself. That is the question for that one. Okay. Is it aligned? This aligned with the truth of my being eternal? Does this even matter to where I am going? Does it even matter? Is it going in the same direction that I am going? Because again, if it, I don't need to deal with that because it's not on my path. It's not for me. And therefore, it's not mine. I don't have to deal with it. Does it align with who I'm becoming? Do I need to deal with this to grow? Because it's aligned with where I am going, right? Because I don't want to just stay comfortable. I do want to grow, right? Right. And your peace will come through growing through things and not avoiding them. So do I need to do this in order to grow into who I'm supposed to be? Well, then I need to get through it. I need to get to it. That's what needs to happen. Okay. And then the last one is it worth my energy? Do I need to respond to this? Even if I can, should I? Right. Because we get to do that too. Okay. We get to do that. We get to pause, discern, and choose. Again, there are steps to this. If the autopilot, right? The hamster wheel is a real thing. So much so that we just steamroll right through that thing. But when we can be present, when we can pause and then pause and discern and choose, then we can start to master ourselves. So this is part of self-mastery. So listen, we got a lot of stuff. I'm trying to get through all of these things. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Let's see. So not everything deserves your energy. We don't want to give our energy to everything. That is very true. Not every battle deserves your participation. I think that was a great one. I love that one because everything doesn't deserve your attention. Again, we don't have to give ourselves away. When we walk into intense situations, into tense rooms. I've walked into a room so thick, cut it, and you'd be like, "Ooh, is it me? No, not me. That's them." Okay, I'm not going to absorb that energy. I'm not going to give it my attention. I'm just going to show up as the light that I am, continue to be who I am, and do what I do. You got to deal with that. I'm not going to absorb that. I'm not going to take on your energy because you're disrupted. I'm at peace. I'm good. Yeah. And this is coming from someone who knows, I know that my energy is infectious. It fills rooms. I'm being more mindful of that myself, maintaining my own peace so that I don't really go into try to affect spaces like that. But mindfully, we show up in spaces and we can quote unquote, our purpose can be to disrupt the environment. And we not even know it but our energy can do it. I know it. I know my energy can. So I'm mindful of it. So I'm also mindful when I step into a room and I feel the energy and I know that's not mine. And I don't absorb it. I diffuse it. Because I'm protecting my own energy. Right? All right. So I don't have a full quiz for you guys today, but I do want to get you to ask yourself some questions. Okay? So self-mastery check-in. We're going to do a self-mastery check-in, and then we're going to get ready to wrap this up. Ooh. All right. Self-mastery check-in. We're going to ask you to finish these sentences. Okay? Finish this sentence. The first sentence is, I lose peace most often when. So what is something that triggers you though, or something that throws you off of your peace axis? Okay. All right. What is something that you may have been avoiding because it gives you the bubble guts. It disrupts your peace. Okay. What happens in your world, right? That disrupts your peace. Okay. The second question is, I overextend myself when? I overextend myself when? Listen, I just did it today. I overextended myself. I got to go back and tell these people I can't do something because I overextended myself. And when I have overextended myself in the past, I immediately overwhelm within myself. Then I would not communicate, and then it would snowball, right? Snowball. Some of those snowballs I have never fixed them. They're probably they're still rolling down a hill somewhere. Okay. But I understand now. I'm not doing that for myself because it disrupts my peace. I can't function because I know it's something I'm supposed to be doing that I did not do. And instead of doing that, I just say no. Yeah, that's better. No. I can't do it. No. Nope. Not gonna be able to do it. All right. Next question. I have difficulty saying no to. All right. So that can be a person, place, or thing. It can be a habit. It can be a person. It can be a place. It can be a situation. It can be a cartoon. It can be a food. What do you have a hard time saying no to? Okay. And how does it make you feel that you can't say no to it? Okay. Okay. Because it might be a good thing. Ooh-wee. Anyways, okay. The next question is, I give too much access to. I give too much access to. Who has too much access to you? Who has not earned it? And when I say earn it, I need to be able to see in you. So a lot of times I know I've been giving away access, knowing good and well. And this is wonderful. Oh my God, for my ladies. This is wonderful for my women. This is wonderful for everybody, but for my women, right? What's the question that says I give too much energy to? A lot of times we give too much energy to things that we ignore. How you give energy to something that you ignore? Listen, come on now. That's so strange to me. We ignore things, and then when we ignore it, then we question why it is happening. That's because you are ignoring it. You've given access to something that you know does not serve you. You've given too much access to something that has not earned it. You've given access to a person who has not proven themselves worthy of you, of your time, of your energy. And you have not set a boundary again. You give too much access. So ladies, when you see something, say something. Don't give access to everything. Learn how to say no. And I'm telling you, probably be a whole lot. Life will be easier. You will be at peace. I know so many women right now who are at peace because they have learned to say no. They have learned to no longer accept things that no longer serve them. And because they were giving away too much access for the sake of things such as not being lonely and things of that sort. But we're no longer doing that because peace does not come from a person. It comes from within. All right. And the last question is, the boundary I know I need is. What boundary do you know you need to set? Set it for yourself. And again, set it for yourself, not worrying about what other people are going to think about your boundary. Because guess what? It is your boundary. Remember that. It's not to make other people comfortable. It's to be at peace within yourself. Okay? No more people pleasing. People pleasing will make you want to have other people comfortable and sacrificing your peace. No, thank you. No, thank you. We don't want to do that. All right? Okay. So don't judge your answers. Be honest with yourself with the answers. Write them down in your journal. I'll say it again. The first one is, I lose peace most often when I overextend myself, when I have difficulty saying no to, I give too much access to, and the boundary I know I need is. The boundary I know I need is. And a good one for me. The boundary I know I needed was acknowledging, saying, The boundary that I know I needed was being able to communicate in all situations. So I will say, listen, hey, I'm going to have to say something. I might need some time, but I'm going to need to say something. And that is how I'm going to conduct myself. Now, you don't have to communicate back. No. But I'm going to. It's okay. All right. So let's see what we got here. Let's wrap this up. Let me look at. Let's see what we got. All right. So some quick notes to go through. Let's see what we got. All right. Okay. So not everything deserves your energy. Self-mastery is self-peace. Okay. Self-mastery is self-peace. And this makes so much sense, all right? So outside peace is temporary, inside peace is transformational. When you are able to be at peace within yourself, because like I stated at the beginning, right? Peace is not outside of you. Peace is in you. Right? They said perfect peace dwells inside of you. God dwells inside of you. Okay, you cannot pour from it, and you cannot pour from an empty cup. All of the things you are overextending yourself. If you are not aware of your feelings, if you are allowing yourself to be triggered, if you are not able to regulate within yourself for yourself, you will not have peace for yourself. Your peace will be dependent upon others. So again, and when we're talking about self, these things are applied. These things without the self become just people-pleasing tools. We have to apply self into them. So you need to master yourself now. Let's see. Guard your peace. Say no without guilt. Set boundaries. That is so key. Set boundaries without apology. And that is okay. Listen. Again, we're not people pleasing. We're self-regulating. Okay? Nurture your growth. Invest in your own well-being. And invest in yourself. Invest in your becoming. Invest in who you are. And again, for my leaders out there, for my people who are leaders, and when it said, who said the leader had to be healed? You don't have to be healed. You're healing. And you're going to nurture your growth. Okay? And as you continue to grow and as you continue to master yourself, you become wiser and you make better decisions. All right? And you're going to live in alignment. Align with the things that make sense for you. Make choices that are aligned with who you are authentically. This is how you stay at peace. Don't try to be something you're not. That's stressful. Do you ever try to be something that you're not? You got to keep up with the Joneses and everything like that. I can't do that. That's too much. That's a lot of pressure. Who has time for that? Nobody. All right? The 3 R's. The 3 R's. So, for each, this is part of your homework for the week. So, for this week, I want you to respond, release, and remove. Respond, release and remove. This deserve what deserves your communication or action. All right. What do you need to respond to? What do you need to address? What do you need to acknowledge? This is the first column. So you're going to decide if it's something that you need to respond to, if it's something that you need to release. This does not serve you, okay? Do not continue to give it your energy, okay? Okay? And this pattern, then after that, then you can remove it. So this is what we're looking at this week. So you're going to take the things in your life and you're going to decide, is it something that just needs a response? Does it need a response and release? Release and remove, like get it up out of there. Because everything does not require the same type of energy. Everything doesn't require the same work. So what we want to look at as we finally reflect on protecting our peace and what that means for yourself. Okay. What about peace resonates with you? What about this topic hit most for you in protecting your peace? And what is it that you need to release that is blocking you from having peace? Are you really looking for peace outside of yourself? That is a very good question. That is that's where I would start in this investigation. Examine if you are looking for peace outside of yourself. Because if you're looking for peace outside of yourself, then that is where we should start. Okay. All right. And then what about yourself do you know you allow yourself to get caught up in? What is the one thing that disturbs your peace beyond repair? And examine that. Really ask the questions that we asked before, those 5 questions. It's like, is it true? Is this really true? And is it mine? Like, that one is a big one. Is it mine? Is it true? Is it mine? Those, again, are so key elements. Those 5 questions that you have to ask yourself in determining whether or not this is something that you are going to give access to you. Is it true? Is it mine? Is it necessary? Is it aligned? And is it worth my energy? You get to decide that. That is so key. And I think that is the most important and valuable takeaway that for me in this class is to really examine what it is. That has been a very helpful tool for me that I have used in the practice of self-mastery and self-peace. You get to reset, you get to restore, you get to decide on a constant basis what works for you, what doesn't. Not every comment deserves, everything doesn't deserve a response. You don't have to always be right. These things, and it's not in avoidance, okay? So be clear on what it is that you are doing. If you quick to just be like, cutting people off, and I'm a human design, and human design, for those who do not know about it, look it up. I'm an emotional responder. I am an emotional person. I know this about myself. But it's self-mastery. If I know this about myself, why would I allow myself to get worked up? Too attached to being worked up about things that I know that I'm emotionally going to react to initially. I allow myself to feel that, and then I start to investigate it. I allow myself to feel it, and then I investigate it. because I know I'm an emotional responder. You're going to get emotional. Smart Video Girl is going to get emotional. But then I'm going to investigate it. Is this something that I need to heal with, deal with? Or is this something that I'm imagining? I'm just imagining it. It is a figment of my imagination. I have created this narrative in this story, and I have allowed myself to be triggered and stressed out about something that is not there. Guess what? I'm putting that to the side. I'm not dealing with that part no more, because that is just a figment of my imagination, and it is something to come to disrupt my peace, and I refuse to do that, because that's something that I have to heal and deal with. So I can be intentional, I can be more efficient and effective in dealing with the things that need to be healed and dealt with, instead of just dealing with garbage. I'm not going to continue to do the same thing. And in a relationship, you can do that too. All right? You get to protect your peace. Listen, I can love you over there. I can protect my peace. You can have access on that chart on a social level. On a relational level, friends and family level. You can have access on a friends and family level. That's a good level to be on. Because again, there's love at all the levels when it comes to me. But what changes, right, is what I allow, the energy that I share, right? Because I got all my energy. So the energy that I share, that I choose to share, and how far I allow that energy to expand out beyond me. That's what I get to do. I get to decide whether or not I'm going to let things that I know to not necessarily be true or connected to the truth of my being throw me off my axis. Guess what? If I get that emotional, I'm going to take a time out, pause. I'm going to pause, discern, and then respond. And that pause may be long. Nobody said the pause had to be short. There is no time limit on the pause. Just to be clear, there is no time limit on the pause. The pause is the pause. You get to decide that. You might need a time to breathe. You might need to do an hour meditation. You might need to take a weekend retreat. But it's not to run away. It is not to run away. It is to get deeper. So if that's what you have to do, do it. Do it. I encourage it. I am someone who encourages this inner work, self-reflection, for inner peace, to find the peace within yourself, to settle yourself. Who am I? Trust and believe me, I'm with it. That's it. I am grateful. I'm grateful to be able to slow down and dig deep, to honor my boundaries, to create boundaries. I am grateful to be able to create my own peace, to be at peace within myself. That is it. All right, and so I'm gonna wrap this bad busy up. Y'all know that I realized, I'm like, goodness gracious, it's been moving right along. So we are not going to have a show next week. Next week is actually my son's birthday. Woohoo! So he will be 15. I will not be having, introducing the podcast will not be live next week. I probably will do a rerun so that you can go back, probably check out some old show. That would be great. I'll do a rerun or something. And then when we come back, we're going to have some guests. So I'm going to be having some conversation with some people about some of these concepts, just to learn a little bit about how other people are practically using some of these things in their own lives, right? And just have some discussion around it, so that you're not just listening to me talk about it, but we're talking to people and how they're practically doing self-work within the realms of who they are, because this is all about living your authentic self, being authentic and true to you. So everybody's story is not going to be the same. So that's why I'm excited about having people come on to engage in the conversation about this practical work and how it shows up for different people, different yet so similar. So similar. Okay. So I just want to encourage you all. Oh, gosh. I want to encourage you all to breathe deep. Okay, remember to inhale, exhale, to reserve the right to respond. Okay, to reserve the right to say yes and no. Okay, to reserve the right to give your energy to who and what you see fit. Give yourself permission to do that. Give yourself full permission to not allow other people's feelings to dictate how you feel in a loving way. That is something that, oh gosh, when you find true peace within yourself, you can do that. Because you know that whatever you see or maybe or witnessing for someone else is not your experience. And it has nothing to do with you. And so you can hold space in a loving way for that person. It's not yours. It doesn't have to be yours. You don't have to feel some kind of way about it. You don't have to defend it. You can just be present, hold space for someone. That's a beautiful thing. So when you become peace, not only do you protect your peace, then you become peace. And not nobody else's peace, you just become peace. Like you become love and like you're light. And so when you walk into this space now, oh, you're peace. You're not somebody's peace, but you are peace. I love that for us. All right, you guys. Don't forget to do the work and keep the faith. The work is you. Okay? The goal is to align with your authentic self. To live the truth of your being that is eternal. You said yes to showing up on this planet. All right? So with that being said, we're going to introduce you to this guide. I'm your host guide for Earth School and how we can learn how to navigate this realm as these spiritual beings having this earthly experience and be able to enjoy it, not begrudgingly. Listen, I know everybody has different timelines. I know everybody got different stories. Listen, if your story, just live your story. Don't judge anyone else's. All right. And with that being said, do your work. Answer those questions. And use the 4 R's. Okay. Use the 3 R's. Use the 3 R's to determine what's going to be best for you. All right. With that being said, y'all, I absolutely love you. I am so grateful to be able to share this platform, share this information, and be your host guide. And y'all, look, I done went almost an hour and a half. Y'all know that means that I had a word. I had a good time tonight. I hope you did learn something. I hope that you are able now to protect your peace, to be able to find your peace within yourself and to release anything that is not yours. Let it go. All right. Smooches. I will see you guys. Remember, September 9th, we will be back. Yes, I'm taking a very small break, very, very small break, but that is only to celebrate my lovely son. And then we'll be back. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to some wonderful people. I'm very excited about that. So listen, that means you need to show up to class on your best behaviors, because we're going to have people in the building, okay? And we want to show the people how much we have learned and how much self-work we have been doing on ourselves as we evolve and engage in community. All right? All right. I love you guys. And that's it. All right, peace out.
Introduce